welcome to episode 419 of the DFO Rundown, as always brought to you by Bet365. Get in the game, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Whatever you like, NHL, NBA, NFL. Hey, maybe you're on the Grey Cup. If you had the Riders, you'll be happy at Bet365. Congratulations to all the Saskatchewan Roughrider fans as they win their fifth title on Sunday night in dramatic fashion. Came right down to the final play of the game, which often happens in the Grey Cup. So good for them and Riders Nation. Oh, well, there'll be a lot of Pilsner being drank in the next few days. Okay, Jeff, you have Pill? Do you like Pill?
I used to a million years ago. I'm not really much of a beer drinker. I just feel that it makes me bloated. But back in the day when I first found Pilsner in Ontario, there was a time where like those were the tins that I was bringing home. So long-winded way of saying yes. Once upon a time, I was very much a Pilsner guy. Yes, true.
Oh yeah, good Pill every now and then, crisp and cold.
Yep.
It's all right. I still like the color of the can. Looks good. We got lots to discuss. He's Jeff Marek. I am Jason Gregor. Thanks, as always, for listening and watching the DFO Rundown. We're going to start with kind of the big story of the weekend. Man, it was injury rama all over the place. God, a lot of injuries. We'll run them down. But the big one, unfortunately, was an off-ice injury that's going to keep Jack Hughes out 8 weeks. Understanding is he cut his hand on some glass, and he'll be out. And that's that's a big blow. The New Jersey Devils, this almost seems like a yearly tradition for the Devils. They get off to a good start, and then they have some key injuries.
Yeah, and some good news for the New Jersey Devils. Dougie Hamilton and Connor Brown will be at practice on Monday. So a little bit of a reprieve. But yeah, Jack Hughes, the big story of the weekends, which pretty much scotches the idea that the New Jersey Devils are going to have a 100-point scorer for the first time, unless, Jesper Bratt goes on the major heater here. Jonathan Kovacevic has been out. Cody Glass as well. So two centers. Gregs are out for the New Jersey Devils. Brett Pesce is out. The Donoff is still out. Like this is like the New Jersey hospital bracelets, for crying out loud. This one's tough. Like if you would have asked, like, okay, so who's the one player of the New Jersey Devils? You ask it of every team, right? Who's the one player New Jersey can't afford to have out? Again, this year I would have said at the beginning of the year, and I did this weekend, Jack Hughes. This one's going to be tough, but gritty performance against the Washington Capitals on Saturday, much depleted as they may be.
Yeah, and so they got 8 weeks. Well, he'll be reevaluated in 6, but looks like he's out 8 weeks. And, it's a kind of a freak injury. Don't know all the details. Sounds like he cut his hand on a glass and, glass shattered and he was leaning on it or something, which is, very unfortunate. And I thought it would be a good time, Jeff, to and not at Hughes' expense by any stretch, but kind of discuss some of the the most weird injuries that you can recall that have happened for different athletes. And man, because I got this is right in my wheelhouse, man. I know a lot of stupid stuff from many years back. I had a buddy, Hutch, who when we were younger, and this guy, he had the greatest excuses for missing work. It was unbelievable, but they were all true. So they weren't even excuses. Like the guy was, we called him Skinny D. He was not a buff guy, 6'5". And back then I think his legs were about as wide as a goalpost. And wasn't a guy who ever, the gym was not something he went to. Yeah. One of our other buddies, was like gym rat. And so Hutch, I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to go to the gym. So they goes the first day and he's like, Trav, I'll just do what you do. And Trav's like, you don't have to do this. No, it's good. I feel great. He does it all. Dude, he could not move for 4 days. Like it was almost like his muscles is like, they were so, it was hilarious. Yeah. Like his boss, like, yeah, buddy, I went to the gym. Like I cannot lift my arms right now. Like no joke, because I don't think he'd ever lift anything other than a beer can on a Saturday night. So, but if I look at like memorable ones, like the Joe Sakic, like, I'm sorry, the snowblower incident, it sucks, right? But that one is, that's a classic NHL one. Manny Cordova, when he fell in, that was the early 2000s, the Baltimore Oriole guy who fell asleep in the tanning salon and missed the game.
That's a great one. That's a great one.
True story. Hutch fell asleep.
Who was it
Hutch fell asleep in his backyard sun tanning, got so red he had to miss work for 2 days. So
I've got I've got a quick suntanning story. So when I finished high school, me and my buddy Bill took a trip to California, and I don't advocate to do this or encourage, but we hitchhiked up and down the coast, and we stayed at one of his buddies' places in Stanford at the university, and really nice place, had a pool, and I fell asleep. I got all lathered up, like no problem. It's really hot, and I made the mistake of falling asleep poolside, and I burned like horribly. One of the worst places you can burn. Now, keep in mind, I am all lathered, like I am covered, but not my eyelids. Have you ever burned your eyelids before? Because you feel it every time you blink. You're not aware of how many times you blink in a day until you burn your eyelids. Oh man, that was agony. God. Who was the guy that had the sneeze related injury? Who was that one? Who was back out? That was it. It was Sammy Sosa.
That was Sammy Sosa. Like, I guess when you're pumping steroids, Jeff, like, you know, makes you strong everywhere else, but it makes you sneeze so hard that you have lower back pain. I think he sprained the ligaments in his back, if my memory is correct.
Unbelievable.
There was also the baseball pitcher who had like wrist and forearm inflammation in the playoffs. Couldn't even pitch because he was playing Guitar Hero for hours. God, I got to remember his name.
Who was that?
I had a weird last name.
Do you remember when Arturs Urbe's dog bit him and he got like all kinds of nerve damage and had to completely change the way he played? That was when I first saw the report about Jack Hughes' injury. I'm like, okay, so what am I thinking here for hockey? Urbe was what I went to right away. I guess his dog was asleep, and I guess Urbe was just like trying to pet him or something like that, and he ended up biting him, and then all of a sudden, boom, that's it for Arturs Urbe in the NHL. Got to redevelop the game here. That was where there is one, by the way, there is one Hall of Famer whose career was ended. I was sworn to secrecy on who it is, but there was one Hall of Famer whose career was ended, although not widely reported, with a skateboarding incident in the hallway of a hotel around 3:00 in the morning. Put on your shocked face, Jason Gregor.
Oh God. Oh man. Like that doesn't surprise me. I know guys who got injuries, you know, playing basketball, and then they had to fake it and pretend they injured their foot in practice. And the trainer's like, dude, you didn't just injure this 2 minutes ago. What are you talking about? So the trainer protects him. So that's happened. Well, there was, I remember Glenn Allen Hill was a Blue Jay outfielder in the 90s. He was like a sleepwalker, and he had like a terrible nightmare, woke out of bed and like ran, thought people were attacking him. He ended up running through a glass table, injured himself sleepwalking.
Yep. Happened. Hey, you have Terry Ryan on your radio show all the time, right?
Yeah.
Has he ever told you the tooth story from Dallas?
No.
Oh man. So he gets a tryout with the Dallas Stars. So he's without contract. He needed like dental work, and they told him like, well, listen, you don't have a contract, so we don't have to pay for it unless you get injured at the skate. We can't help you. And so like the night before, he gets like a bottle of rum and like a chisel or a screwdriver and a hammer, and he's trying to like drink himself brave to pop out a tooth, and he finally does it after hours and hours of just like having a drink, thinking about it, not doing it, having a drink, thinking about it, not doing it, and then he pops the tooth out or a couple of teeth out, and he gets to the rink and he deliberately doesn't smile, just so no one can see his teeth, and gets out there on the ice skates as hard as he can, goes right into the boards, pulls out the teeth from his hockey pants, and gets his teeth done for free. Terry Ryan, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a veteran move, man. Well, the other NHL one was number 1 overall pick, Eric Johnson. Remember when he tore his knee up when his foot got caught in the accelerator and the golf
that's cart. Right.
Yes. Yeah, on the golf cart. So there's been
good one.
There's been a few freak ones. I know New Jersey fans are probably like, "Hey, this isn't funny," but sometimes stuff just happens. It's unfortunate, and you know, like there's no joke when it comes to glass, man, and ligaments and tendons for people. Like, you know, the fact that it's only 2 months. You know, it's probably pretty good because, you know, you can have serious damage from glass. So unfortunate for Jack Hughes. We'll see how the Devils, luckily they're sitting in first place. They've got themselves a little bit of a buffer here. You know, if you can play 500 hockey, you're probably still just fine when you come out of the 2 months break without Jack Hughes.
Yeah, did you see what now Brandon Hagel came back on Sunday against Vancouver? But for that game against the Florida Panthers on Saturday, the one that we were all looking at going, oh boy, here we go. Take the phone off the hook. Who takes the phone off the hook? Don't bother calling me. Leave me alone. I'm just going to watch the Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Did you see who Tampa had out of the lineup? I mean, they've been with this situation. Cirelli, Hedman, McDonough, Holmberg, Nick Paul, Brandon Hagel. It was insane. And they beat the Florida Panthers. Now, they flamed out against the Vancouver Canucks on Sunday, but that was a great gutsy effort beating Florida in their own barn, where you would have looked at the lineup and said, I don't know about this one. I'm not sure about this. Do I see, is that Brian Bradley? Have they called up Brian Bradley? They got him out of retirement. Is he playing again for Tampa here? Good on Tampa. That was a gutsy win by them.
Yeah, no, they've been ravaged by it, and Braden Point isn't really he's a shadow of himself right now. Hasn't played to the level that they would hope, and Tampa Bay's got themselves right back in it. When all said and done, despite the injuries, and I think when they get healthy, watch out for Tampa Bay. Lots of other guys were hurt, right? Well, we know it wasn't hurt on the weekend, but Matthews is banged up, Stolarz is banged up, Tanev is banged up. Toronto's not playing very well, so that's a concern for them. Arvidsson's now out for Boston, who's rolling. McAvoy, I know it looks like he lost a tooth, but he should be fine.
Ooh,
what about Seattle's playing great in the West, but Matt Murray got hurt sliding across to make that save. Now, they do have 3 goalies, so it probably doesn't bug them, but McCann's out. Capo Caco is out. There's a few teams. Montreal, Gooley. Doc adds to the infirmary list. Newhook, and they're kind of sliding a bit, and now there's 3 regulars out for them.
Yeah, that's a real tough one there. And Montreal have been going, gangbusters. I know they've run into tougher competition here now, but man, that Newhook injury just looked like agony, didn't it? That visual and that screen cap. Just looks so bad. You feel, but now Montreal, now more so than ever since they had the hot start, are probably going to be more involved in trade rumors than they probably would have been otherwise with all these guys out. By the way, how great was that on Saturday night? The way the game started, the way the game played. I mean, I think we can all do without, Noah Dobson catching, as you mentioned, Charlie McAvoy high with that slap shot. But that had an old school 1970s, O'Reilly versus Bouchard kind of Montreal, Boston vibe to it, wasn't that a great game? It wasn't that high scoring or anything, but still, what a great game that was. That one was just a lot of fun right off the bat, too.
Yeah. No, it had everything that you want in the game, right? Entertaining, back and forth, physical, some nice goals, and we need more of that. I'd like to see, I'd like to see a little bit more physicality, to be bluntly honest, in a few more games. And it's probably a little bit of old school in me, but I find it brings up the emotion in the game, and hockey is way better when there is emotion. I understand they can't hit like they do in the playoffs for 82 games. I understand it. But when you see a few games like that got a little bit more just raw, and raw emotion doesn't always have to be fights either. I want to make that abundantly clear. Yeah. It's just, you get a little bit more emotion in the game, and it rises, the intensity increases, and it's more enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, it used to be too, once upon a time, and you're right, there's just too many games in hockey to play that way 82 times. It used to be that, and the old timers will tell you this, they would always get up for the Saturday night games because those were the ones that they knew were on television. And so the games Tuesday game, a Wednesday game, a Thursday game, maybe not so much. We can coast a little bit, straight-legged a little bit. But, back in the day in the NHL, Saturday night was the night when the games were on and everybody was watching. And you knew that the games are going to have a little bit of extra spice in the chili. Now everybody watches everything. Right now we get a chance to watch, you watch from this morning with Nashville and Pittsburgh in the Global Series, all the way up to when we started recording here, and I'm watching the Islanders and the Colorado Avalanche. You just watch games all day on the weekends. It's fantastic. But there was something really special about Saturday nights not too long ago, because everybody knew those were the games you got up for, and that's why I loved seeing that in Montreal. Place is going crazy. 2 defensemen fight off the draw. Then Tanner Jeannot and Arbor Jackeye drop. That was a lot of fun. Hey, I feel bad for LA with Doughty, and maybe you feel bad for Team Canada as well with the Doughty injury as well.
Yeah, I think he would have been. He was right in the mix. It would have been tough, but they don't know how long, or say maybe a few weeks. But yeah, that I was going to say Doughty and Jack Hughes. Like if we look at it and say 2 months from today, Jeff, that's mid-January, right? Like that's best case scenario maybe for Jack Hughes. And now I know the rules that you can put him on the list, and then if he's injured, you can replace him. I understand that, but a guy like that who's out 2 months. I would think, and he wasn't great in Four Nations, so I just wonder kind of, and it's your wrist.
Good point.
Right? Like it's your hand, like hands are obviously one of his best assets. So it'd be kind of interesting to see what happens here as we get close to the Olympics. Cause hey, I always like Drew Doughty's honesty, right? He's like, yeah, I'm thinking about the Olympics all the time, man. Like he doesn't, oh no, I'm focused on the now. He tells you the truth. I can do multiple things. I can play hard and want to win for LA and still think about the Olympics, right? Like two things can happen at the same time. And you know what? He's such a competitor. So you hope he gets back and it's not an injury that takes him out. Now, speaking of the Kings, another big signing today. Adrian Kempe is off the market, 8-year deal, just over 10 sheets a year for Kempe.
So what are you doing on July 1st, Jason?
Hey, I'm happy I'm not hosting a 4-hour show. I'll tell you that right now.
10.63 AAV, 85 million. Probably would have got more on the open market.
That deal for him in the
I like the deal. Listen, I'm not gonna turn my nose up at $85 million, and the player has earned it, and he's having another excellent season. Actually, he's a point per game, which would be the highest in his career so far this season. Really nice price and a really nice number for LA too. Like you never love like the last 3 years of a contract like this, considering the age, but whatever. Like you're gonna get like a solid 4 or 5 years out of Adrian Kempe at this number, and it's going to be a bargain here for a while. I like it a lot. He wanted to be there. The one thing that we've learned about whether it's Kaprizov or McDavid or Kyle Connor, if you're happy, find a way to stay. If you're happy where you're at, find a way to stay. Find a way to stay where you are. Don't mess with it. So many guys have made the mistake about, the grass is greener and I'm going to go and sign a major contract, but I'm going to be miserable, but I'll be making more money. And you quickly realize, you know what? Money can't buy happiness. It can buy a lot of things, but if you're miserable, you're miserable. Good on the Kings, good on Kempe. But is this going to be like Jason, are we talking about like the summer of schmaltz now? Like, what do we have for July 1st? Like, I just jotted down a quick list before he came on. It's Alex Tuck, it's Nick Schmaltz, it's Panarin, it's Malkin, it's Roslovic, it's John Carlson, it's Kiefer Sherwood. Boy, that's an interesting name we've talked about. Marcus Johansson is having a really good season as well. But this isn't like the summer that we thought it was going to be with, McDavid and Eichel and Kaprizov and Kyle Connor and Adrian Kempe and Martin Necas. Now we're talking about Claude Giroux and Corey Perry and Alexander Venberg. Things change quick here, Jason.
Well, I think it's showing you, like, I was a big believer. Free agency was rarely where a championship was built. You could find a good depth signing. I think, like you mentioned, Jack Roslovic there. You look at Roslovic, excuse me. He signed on October 8th. For $1.5 million on a 1-year deal. Now, I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's playing with Draisaitl. Well, yeah, that helps. But guess what? I can give you a list of guys who played with Draisaitl and McDavid the last few years who don't score, right? Like just because you play with good players doesn't mean you produce. And now I think with Roslovic, the big thing will be for him, for teams, is there is going to be a bit of that while you're playing with McDavid and Draisaitl, right? So that'll be there. You're not going to get rid of it. There's no doubt. But how he's playing, his speed, I didn't know he was this fast. I didn't know he was this silky smooth. And I think a lot of it for him is going to come down to, Jeff, especially for top teams, how does he play in the playoffs? That's ultimately, I think, what it's going to come down to. And if he has a good playoffs, that guy could cash in.
He's got there's a lot of places for guys like him in NHL lineups, both regular season and playoffs, as long as you have some physicality elsewhere in the lineup. Like, let's face it, like you're right. He's fast, he's skilled, he can finish. I can hear, Brian Brick behind me saying, soft skill. There's a lot of room for soft skill in lineups, and you can still win championships. And the best example of that is Phil Kessel, who had soft skill, but that soft skill got you easy goals. Guys that score easy goals are really valuable. And, you look at the OT heroics that Jack Roslovic has already pulled off for the Edmonton Oilers. Like, I don't like this sort of, turn the nose. I used to always bug Berkey about this. Like, there's room for soft skill in lineups, right? There is room for that as long as it's offset. You just can't, that's it. You can't have too much of it. So that's why I think that, Roslovic's a real nice piece here for the Oilers. No one's going to confuse him for like a power forward, but that's not his game. And that's fine. By the way, speaking of Oilers, how about the comeback? How about the comeback for Zach Hyman? 23 minutes, gets an assist, and 11 hits. Welcome back to the lineup with 11 hits. It's like you're not playing the Panthers now, Zach. You're not playing Florida, buddy. That's a great comeback game.
Yeah, you talk to players, and when he got hurt, like Zach Hyman was devastated, right? It's in the conference finals. Yeah. He knew he was done, right? Your chance, and Zach Hyman, if he's in the lineup, they might have beat Florida. We'll never know, but their odds would have been way better. I'll tell you that, because
way better.
He matched up a lot. He could have negated. He creates a lot of space for McDavid in the way he plays, and he's one of the best forechecking forwards in the NHL. There's no question in my mind. And he's got some skill. He's really good around the net. And I've talked to so many guys when they miss a few months, when they come back, man, those first few games, your adrenaline is off the charts, right? And so that's what he looked like. He was just, and I think he really probably wanted to test himself. How's my wrist going to handle it? Right. He's like, hey, let's get in here. They took a little extra time with it, but yeah, he adds a lot to the team for a lot of different reasons. Obviously there's skill, but he adds a little grit and sandpaper, which I still think they need a little bit more of at times. Not every game in the regular season, but there's a few games for sure. And so, yeah, big for him. They got him and Roslovic now as your first and second line right wingers, and with McDavid and Draisaitl, which should allow the coach to keep them apart. So that's a good thing. And, we'll see if their offense can go. They're still pretty leaky defensively right now. I'll say that. Their defense core is not playing up to their potential, at least on a consistent basis.
Yeah, that's true. One more thing about that Carolina game, and maybe Oilers fans, and listen, you're right there to watch all of it. Maybe Oilers fans are a little numb to this by now, but if you want to talk about a perfect shot, that Draisaitl OT winner is an absolute perfect shot. And what I love about it is Draisaitl fires it. It's perfect. Like, there's a handful of guys that can do that on a consistent basis, and Leon just snaps it in, and then he's just like, oh yeah, that's just what I do. Like, it ain't no big deal. If I shot a puck like that, or how many guys are looking at that going, I wish I could shoot a puck like that, with like that kind of velocity, that kind of perfect placement. Like, that was one of my big highlights from the weekend was that Draisaitl shot, which was just ideal. That was outside of the Hyman return, which I absolutely loved. To me, that shot in overtime was special. That was special.
Well, it's the argument over who's the best goal scorer in the NHL today. And it's hard to pick anybody outside. I know people say Austin Matthews. I'm like, okay, but who's more consistent? Right? Austin Matthews has the big 60-goal seasons. Draisaitl's already got 4 50-goal seasons. And he's the rarity who's a 50-goal and 50-assist guy in the same season. Like, he's entering territory of 7 guys in all-time history who have done that. But it's more so, how many guys in the league score from the sharp angles that Draisaitl does continually?
That's the key to me. And I'll always remember going back to, this would have been the World Cup of hockey right before the lockout in 2004. There was that Canada game, was it versus Finland, when Jeff Carter scored 3 goals, or was that at the juniors? I can't, my memory's getting a little foggy, but the game against Finland was either juniors or that game where Jeff Carter scored 3 goals 3 different ways, and everybody went like, "Ooh, wow!" There's something, and that's what I see in Draisaitl. Is like, there's like a lot of guys will have like their signature place where they score, and we think of Ovechkin. Like, it's interesting. Early in Ovechkin's career, we thought of that play where he would cut onto the blue line. He'd do that cut to the middle, and then he'd shoot between the defenseman's legs and score. Wait till a defenseman lined up for a screen and then score. And then later, it all just became about the OV one-timer spot. Like, guys will have the sweet spot of the ice where they do all their goal scoring from. Leon's got like 5 or 6 of those places where he can score from. Like, there's that to me is like, okay, that's a goal scorer. when if you're not getting it from your bread and butter spot, but you can get it elsewhere in the offensive zone, that's like a cut line for goal scorers for me. That's why I still maintain that like Leon is, the elite of the elite when it comes to goal scoring. Watch where they score from, how they score. And you're right. No one scores better from sharper angles, except maybe the guy that just sliced himself on a piece of glass, Jack Hughes.
Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't do the one-timers, though, like Draisaitl. Like, Draisaitl scored the other game on St. Louis from literally the goal line, which is – I remember the goalies were like, well, how do you even save that? Like, what do you do? So it's a good thing. Now, obviously, we like to talk lots of levels of hockey, and I want to – what do you think is going to happen in the Ontario Hockey League, Jeff? Luka Draisaitl, his slash to the head / face of Brady. Yeah. Is it Blasig?
Yeah, Brady Blasig. Yeah, Brady Blasig, Oshawa Generals.
And the like, I saw it actually on your feed, and I'm just like, hey, I understand emotions run. You get hit. First of all, you got hit by two guys. Right. Yep. And the first guy hit you from the front. The other guy comes, he kind of pushes you into him. He didn't hit him from behind. And then to react like that, to slash him in the face, like I got to think he's getting 30 to 40 games.
There's a couple things there. One, there's the slash, and then there's the attack on the ground too. Right? Like there's the cross check. It's I remember, what was this, 2009, maybe 2010, Michael Liambus, when he played with Erie on Ben Finale, who was a defense with the Kitchener Rangers, coming around the net, and Liambus had the full head of steam, and sent him into the season ticket holders' laps. Now, Liambus was an overager at that point. He was aging out. He had 58 games remaining, and he got the remainder of the season, and that took him out the remainder of his OHL career. There's a couple of things here. One, it's incredibly violent. It's an incredibly poor demonstration of emotional control in a situation. I understand the frustration. I get it. But then there's a line, and there's like that internal discipline and emotional sort of calm down that you have to have as a hockey player, or there's no room for you to play here. Not that you suspend based on marketing, because you shouldn't, but let's not pretend that that's not part of it here. Yeah. The CHL and the OHL are in a dogfight right now, as all the rules have changed and players are leaving, and American players specifically making the decision if they're going to go to the USHL, if they're going to go to the CHL. And I look at this, and like, if I'm a USHL recruiter, I'm like, well, thanks for doing an ad for me. Thanks for giving me a clip that I can turn to parents and say, you want to send your kids to this league? That's why I think this one for the Ontario League needs to be severe. One, because it's incredibly dangerous, obviously. And we've seen it before, and everyone was talking about Marty McSorley and Donald Brashear, and rightfully so. The worst one that I ever saw was in the American League. It was Alexander Perezjoygin and Garrett Stafford. Which I still shudder thinking about, watching, one player convulse on the ice after getting hit in the face like that. One, based on the actions, it should be severe. And then secondly, there really needs to be a sort of an extra to this one, because this is not how junior hockey needs to be seen. Around North America. And make no mistake about it, like, that clip went everywhere. Everybody's seen that, and everyone's talked about it. It's going to be lengthy. It's going to be like, I had people saying, like, that's got to be it for the kid's career. Minimum, it's got to be the rest of the season. Like, I understand it. I understand it. I get it.
Yeah, I could see it being like significant. You mentioned Liambus, and he was an overager. Luke is 18 years of age. I'm not a huge believer in one mistake, and now you're going to be out 3 years for something like that. Like, we don't have punishment in the courts that ban you for 3 years for that. Now, if you want to give him the rest of this season to send a message, I could understand that, right? That's still, I think, 50 games or close to it for them, right? Maybe it's a little bit less. I don't know exactly. I know he's only played 15 games, so maybe he was hurt. But I would be fine with that, because you do have to. You can't come down light on something like this, because it is so crossing the line, right? Like it's so across the line that you have to be strong on it.
Yeah, this is like we saw stuff like this, in the 50s, in the 40s, in the 60s. This is like Ted Green, Wayne Mackey kind of stuff, right? Like that's the horror
Except
stories.
They were both doing it to each other.
I know, in an exhibition game in Ottawa, for crying out loud. Like the thing is, like the thing that I always wonder about is, where's the line where hockey stops and real life consequences begin, right? Like when you skate, when you play any sport, you surrender some rights, right? You're like, I am allowing someone else to do something to me on this field of play that if we were walking down the street, you would be arrested for. But there's an element of, I'm allowing this to happen in the name of, we're competing against each other when we're playing a sport. But what's the line at which it crosses over? Because it can't just be the wild, wild west. At what line does it cross over? And some would say hunting a player down and taking a baseball swing at his head is probably that line. That's the way it feels to me. That's the way it feels.
I totally would agree. Hey, I want to get your thoughts. So that's a story to follow. I know it's outside the NHL, but it's still a pretty big story to follow. I want to get your thought. Like, Matthew Schaefer's having an unreal year for the New York Islanders, right? He's already got 7 goals. We've talked about it before on the pod. I said there's only 3 rookie defensemen in NHL history who have ever scored 20 goals as a rookie, right? And Schaefer's on pace to crush that. He is, and it's not just the goals, it's how he's played. The minutes he's playing great. But there is another guy, Jeff, that no one is really talking about in Long Island. And it involves a defenseman, because maybe, I know you remember, but the trade for Noah Dobson, and everyone's like, oh yeah, they got 2 first-rounders, right? They got the 16th and the 17th pick, and they took Victor Eklund, and then they took the defenseman Aitchison from Barrie. But Emil Heineman scored his 9th goal of the season on Sunday night, and he has him and Bo Horvat on that line. Like, that guy shoots the puck. He's got to have one of the hardest shots in the league. I'm sure he does, but oh my God, like that, you look at that trade, and a lot of people are like, oh, that's a really good trade. And the Canadians, they crushed it. Emil Heineman himself is making that deal right now. Say, you know what, for the Islanders, this trade's pretty good, and we still have our draft pick, so we don't have any reason to rush, who might help us in a few years, but he is off to an unreal start on Long Island.
He looks fantastic. I think for a lot of people, considering he's been traded before, you looked at this and you said, like, is this guy going to be like the Swedish Mike Sillinger? Is like this guy, like, is Heineman Swedish for Sillinger? How many times is this guy going to get traded? This is kind of insane. Like, just land somewhere and let's see what you're all about. Jason, I'm with you, man. This guy's special. And what looked like, maybe cynically, unless you really know the player, it's just a throw in on the deal. Throw me another bone here on this deal. Like, this guy's a player. He's got good size. He's got good skills. You mentioned the shot. Like, he's 6'3", like 210. Like, he's like a good solid, and 9 goals already, as you mentioned. Scoring his 9th against the Avalanche on Sunday night. This guy looks fantastic. Like, if you look at the Islanders, as soon as the transition in the manager's office changed, all of a sudden, like, there's like, and it's going to sound like I'm knocking Lou, and I'm not, because that is a very specific way to run a hockey team. And most of the guys will tell you they kind of liked it, but there seems to be like a real sort of breath of fresh air and a new vibe around the Islanders. I think a lot of it is, of course, led by Matthew Schaefer, but not exclusive to him. And I think Heineman's a part of it. And it just seems as if, the way they crushed it at the draft, as you mentioned, there seems to be like a sort of new cool vibe around the Islanders. Like they're not there yet. And there's still a lot of heavy lifting along the way. And there's going to be a lot of pain along the way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the Islanders weren't exactly cool for the last few years, but I watch more Islanders games now than I have in years. Like before, you're probably the same as me. Like, okay, we have a sort of obligation to watch every single team. I'm going to watch a couple of periods of the Islanders. Maybe I'll just watch one period, then I'll be on my way. But when I'm flipping around and I get to the Islanders, like, no, I stay and I watch because they're fun. And you never know what Schaefer's going to do. And Horvat's having a season now where, he's like banging on the Hockey Canada door too. I'm with you. Heineman's a hidden treasure in everything that we saw done in the offseason by the Islanders. Really, really nice.
Yeah, now I don't expect him to score at this pace all year long. Islander fans, like that would be unreal, but I don't think he's going to be, a 36 goal scorer. I'd love it if he did. But heck, if he becomes a 25 goal man, 22 goal man, that's what you want. And he's 24 years of age. He's not old, right? Like that's he's a second round pick and their size, his shot, man, he can rifle it. Him and Bo Horvat just, they got some chemistry and, like Patrick Roy, I give him credit. Like he's kept them there together and it's built them some confidence. And, for some players, man, you guys just get an opportunity and then it's up to the player to crash through that glass window of opportunity.
Speaking of Patrick Roy, what I thought was great? Like really great on Sunday night. Did you see the ovation, the fans in Denver gave Patrick Roy? And let's not forget too, this is someone that walked out on them, right? Right before camp. You'll recall, I'm not getting my way. I'm taking my ball and I'm going home. But even still, they still have, the respect for Patrick that he got the nice ovation from the faithful there. He was kind of bashful about it, I think. And you saw him on the bench, the sort of, little courtesy nod from Patrick Roy. But I thought that was like good on Avalanche fans for doing that. It'd be pretty easy to be cynical and forget the cups, but they did. Good on those Denver fans. I really like that.
And the other benefit about Heineman is he's a 1.1 cap hit this year and next season. I know. So, you know what? You need a few of those. Him and Schaefer combined like $2 million cap hit. Now, I know that Schaefer's going to get some bonuses and stuff like that at the rate he's going, so fine, but still. And the Islanders aren't in a position that there'll be bonus overages at all. So it really doesn't hurt them at all. They just pay it out and they'll gladly pay it out the season he's having.
I know you love stuff like this. I tweeted this out hoping that you would see it, to be honest with you. Steph Rosner of the Elmonters sent this one out. Brendan Burke just said on the Avalanche broadcast, Brent Burns is the oldest player in the NHL at 40. Had played 185 games before Matthew Schaefer was born.
Yeah. That is awesome.
Already 185 into the career. Holy smokes, Jason. That's awesome.
What about Brent Burns? Like, there's another free agent sign. Look what Burns is doing. He's playing 20 minutes a night in Colorado. The guy he's an unreal specimen that he's 40 years of age and he's closing in on 1,000 consecutive games played, for goodness sakes. Like he has been great for Colorado. It's been a really good fit for them.
That second pair too, right? Like the first pair is obvious. Like, like that's the elite pair in the NHL. But that second pair of Burns and Manson has been really good too. Like I know you might look at it and go like, "Ooh, I'm not so sure about the second pair." And then you watch him play, and you're like, you know what? Brent Burns found the fountain of youth. Josh Manson's playing, better than we've seen him play in a long time. Like everything right now is just clicking. I know the Nichushkin injury hurts, but everything's just clicking for the Avalanche right now, and fun to watch. But you're right. Like Burns looks a lot different than he did in Colorado. In Carolina. We were wondering if is this going to be the end? We said the same about Orlov, but he looks a lot different and a lot better with the Avalanche. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's been really good. It's been a great fit for him. I'd love to see him chase down Kessel's record. I know he'd have to continue to play next year to do it, and we'll see. But the Avalanche are obviously off to a very good start. Dallas, now that they've got some guys healthy, Wyatt Johnson's having himself a bounce back year. That's looking like it's going to be a great race in the Central Division at the top.
Did you see Moritz Seider this weekend? Sets the career Ironman streak for the Detroit Red Wings to start a career at 346 games. He's never missed a game. No. Since he started, he has never missed a game with the Detroit Red Wings. And because I know you love stuff like this, and this is a name I can't wait to see you smile on this one, he breaks the record with Detroit previously held by John Ogrodnik.
Johnny, one of the
yes.
A lot of people might forget that Johnny scored 50 goals in the.
He did too. Great New Westminster Bruin back in the day for 3 or 4 years. Oh yeah, Johnny Ogrodnik was a good player. He was a
really good, like skill player, big, strong. Yeah, no, he could fire the pill. So I didn't know that little stat about Detroit. It's funny when you look at the Atlantic Division right now. The 4 teams at the top definitely are, well, excluding Buffalo at the bottom. I think a lot of people thought Tampa, Toronto, and Florida were there. They probably still could get there, but now, hey, speaking of that, did you see the Ranger game on Sunday? No white jerseys. Detroit was in red. New York was in blue.
Loved it. I've been banging this one for forever. Like, it doesn't always work out to look as beautiful as it did on Sunday between these two teams, but give me that all day long. Like, one of the things that I've always groused about with the way that hockey is presented visually, like, you know me, like, I'm not much of a big, huge sports fan as much as I am a hockey fan, but I love watching. Like, I love the visuals of golf, like the lush greens really relaxes. Like, it's visually appealing to watch. So I love a baseball diamond with those greens, those lush, dark colors. Football the same way, basketball the same way, and the worst color you can put on a screen, the worst color you can put on television is white. And we have white ice and white boards, and one of the teams is wearing white as it breaks all rules about, what looks good on television. Which is why I'm like, okay, you know what? If you're not going to change the color of the ice, and I get it, or the color of the boards or whatever, can we at least have like 2 teams wearing darks? Where it works. Like, it's not always going to work, but I'm with you, Greg. It's like, it looks like that Toronto Detroit Winter Classic, whereas red versus blue as well. Oh, it looked tremendous with the white, the snow globe, like the whole deal looked fantastic. But I'm with you. That was, as far as like the visual of a game this year, that game visually looked most appealing of any game that I've seen this year. It was beautiful. Yeah, looked gorgeous.
I quite liked it, and we don't see it a ton. I know that you have to get privilege, you have to get permission at times to wear different jerseys for different games, and I would be something. I don't like that. I would rather see darks on the road, to be honest.
Old school.
I think that right. Like, I kind of like the darks on the road. I think it's because most teams' dark unis are better, my opinion. Or at least split it halfway through. Like, you're a fan who goes to your season ticket holder, probably want to see different colored jerseys sometimes. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter to some people, but to me, I'm always kind of like, God, I'd like to see more of the darks.
Yeah. You know why it used to be darks on the road, right? You know the story?
No.
Because it used to be always white home and dark on the road. And this is before the days where arenas had, washing machines for the visitors. You brought your darks on the road, so if you got dirty, you couldn't see it. And that's why the home team wore white, because they could always wash their jerseys and their socks. And when you're on the road, you're taking your reds or your blues or your blacks, for example, because if they got dirty blood or dirt or whatever on them, you couldn't see it. That's why traditionally it was always whites at home, darks on the road. That's where it comes from. Like,
now, Pat put a picture up of that game on Sunday night, and we're recording this late Sunday night. But Detroit and the Rangers, like, look at how awesome that looks. It's unreal. It's the red of the Red Wings, and you got the blue and the white with the red pants of the Rangers. Like, I freaking love it.
There's only one. Can I nitpick this? Can I be like totally nitpicky about this? First of all, I love it.
You don't like beautiful. The sleeves?
No, I love them. Like, honestly, like, Greg, I'm going to be so nitpicky right now. You're going to roll your eyes. Now, this looks great. Like, I love the expression. Like, so you can see the expressions on everybody's face. It's beautiful. But you know what I want in this picture? And you used to get it in the old pictures. Like, look at the 50s and the 60s and even parts of the 70s. And this is a byproduct now of the games. Like, all the arenas are very well lit. But you know what's missing in the game now? Shadows. I wish we could see shadows in this picture. I love old hockey photographs that have shadows. We don't get shadows in hockey photographs anymore because, again, like I'm nitpicking, but it's like everything's so lit it's lit. I'm complaining about it being lit properly, Greg. Like that's how trivial I am. I'm just looking at this and going like, I wish I could see a shadow or two here. That would look cool.
I thought you were going to say, I wish you could see the fans' faces more and they didn't have plexiglass back in the day. Just like, right? You're just sitting front row there. He's like, hey, here comes a game tonight. Doof. Taking one right in the chicklets.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, third period coming up. All right.
You must have been at the game last night. Hey, yeah, sitting front row. Took a puck right in the face. Like, I remember the first time I went to Maple Leaf Gardens and they had the second deck. So basically where the rink ended for our young listeners, the rink ends, right? They have glass coming up. The second deck is literally right at top of the glass. And there's no glass in front of you. You're sitting there. I'm like, if there's a slap shot from the blue line, someone deflects it off a stick, it's coming right in your face. And like, I sat there because that's where our seats were. And it was unreal to watch the game. But I was like, oh my God, it's just a different time. But it was an unbelievable vantage point to watch the game.
What you're talking about are the Blues. Those seats are like the golds were right along the ice, and then they were on the side. It was the golds and the reds, and center ice reds were always considered the best ticket in Toronto. Oh, we got center ice reds. Everyone wants the golds because you're close to the action. No way. The reals will tell you center ice reds were the best, but the Blues, and they were a little bit cheaper too, probably because it was a little bit dangerous here, and you might catch one on the forehead. But those seats, like pucks came in like hot potatoes. And right behind the Blues there was where the standing room was as well. Those were like the really, really cheap tickets. But that whole area was like people that were like, and they knew, like we all knew, like I used to get Blues all the time. It's like, we know we're taking our lives into our hands here. And we know it's going to be like the standing room only people behind us. It was like, this is like for like the hardcore fans. Like we're in here because like we're paying attention. So we're going to duck at all the deflections and we don't care how we get in. We'll pay $5 for standing room and we're going to watch the game. That's like where the hardcores went. I'm glad you went there, Greg's.
That was the last year. It was 1997 when I went. I think it might have been December or January. I can't remember. Either December of 97 or January of 98. I can't remember the exact one, but it was that year, 97, 98. And I remember we got there early, toured around the whole rink. Like they had so much history in that barn. But then when we got to our seats, I was just like, this is unreal. But you got to be locked in, man. Like that's like the old days of sitting down on the third baseline, right? At baseball before they had the mesh up. You better pay attention. You're taking one right in the keister, no question.
Yep. Now, was that the only time you went to Maple Leaf Gardens? That one game?
That was the one time in the old Maple Leaf Gardens. Yeah.
Do you remember the trough? When you went to the men's room, Ballard was so cheap. He wasn't going to have like individual urinals. He just treated his customers like livestock.
Oh, dude, there's a bar.
We're not going to have just a trough. Just a trough along the wall. It was hilarious. And then you get a little you can't miss. Yeah. No, you just like pull out your rope and have a squirt. Like, all right, here we go. Yeah. Here we go. Thanks, Harold.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks for the privacy, Harold.
Yeah, I got to all the old barns except I never got to Chicago Stadium. That's the one regret I have I remember watching games in the old Chicago Stadium as a kid on TV, and when the Oregon would play, and you'd be at home through the television, and you're still like, oh my God, like the sound is amazing. And I talked to so many players who said standing on the blue line for the anthem at a Chicago game was the greatest experience they've had.
Yep. And like a lot of those old barns too, before everything was built, for multi-purpose. So everything has to be, laid back and lean back because it's not. Chicago Stadium went like straight up.
Oh yeah.
Boston Garden
all
went
those
straight up. Even the Autumn Buffalo, I loved it. Oh God, I went to so many games. It's straight up. Like, and you're on top of the action. Nothing like it.
Sick.
Nothing like it. Nothing like it.
Very good. Let's bring in Pat Putt for another edition of Buy or Sell.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah, buy or sell. Brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app, get in on the game. Use code NATION. Bet365 must be 19 or older. Got a couple questions for you today. Let's start in the Atlantic. So the first question I have for you right now, Boston leading the Atlantic Division. Now, I know they have a couple games in hand, but it's kind of an odd division right now. Some started good and are kind of falling off. Tampa started bad. They're starting starting to climb up. My question to you guys, though, Boston, have they earned enough, buy or sell, to be a playoff team in your eyes, whether that be wild card or one of the top three? What do you think, Gregs?
Oh, you know what? They're surprising me. I'll say it. I never thought the Bruins would be in this position at this point this season. Now, there's still lots of hockey to go, and it's not like, it's funny because they're in first place, but they're 6 points ahead of teams like Florida and Washington, and they're only 4 points up on Tampa Bay. So it's too early for me to want to just punch their ticket and say for sure, because look at Tampa. Tampa's got all these injuries. They got 2 games in hand and they're 4 points back.
Yep.
So I'm not ready yet to anoint it, but I will say the Bruins, like 8-2 in their last 10 games. They had they started 3-0, then they hit the skids for a bit, and now they found it again. And Jeremy Swayman's numbers don't look great, but I think he's playing better than what his numbers say, especially lately, right? Like he had that bad stretch, so it kind of ruins your numbers in a small sample if you look overall. But the last 2 weeks, he's been dynamic. And if he continues that, then I will say the Bruins are a playoff team.
I'm really happy for Marco Sturm. There's a lot of players from the Ontario reign that I've spoken to who would always say, like, why is the NHL sleeping on Marco Sturm? Like, this guy's attention to detail. This is, the one of the rare coaches that get on the ice, stay on the ice with guys afterwards and work on tiny little details, how to take hard rims on your backhand, like all these types of things you kept hearing about Marco Sturm. So I'm happy that he's enjoying this success so far. I wouldn't go as far as to call it fool's gold, but there is a sort of element, I think, of mirage to this thing. I still don't love them down the middle. Listen, man, Geeky going to win the Rock or Richard. Holy smokes. I put it this way. This is one of those things where I'm so happy for Marco Sturm that I want this to be real, and I want the Boston Bruins to be a playoffs team. But I have too much respect for people listening and watching to say that I really believe that, because I don't. I just want it to happen, but I can't see it. I can't see it.
No, that's totally fair. And I think for my second question, we're going to stick in the Atlantic, because looking at Bet365, in the Central, it's Avalanche to win the division, -225, not a lot of value there. The Hurricanes in the Metro, -120, not a ton of value. Maybe some in the Pacific with the Golden Knights at +150 or the Oilers at +300. But the Atlantic, even the odds makers, they don't really know what's going to happen. And so they've got Tampa Bay to win at +210. So I'm curious if you think Tampa Bay has what it takes to win the Atlantic, or are the Panthers going to figure it out at some point? We'll start with you, Marek. Lightning, buy or sell to win the Atlantic?
Every time I think about betting against the Tampa Bay Lightning, they make me look stupid. It's happened so many times. Oh, they're done. They're washed. That's it. Hit the wall. Yeah. Turn the page. Last call. And then bam. They come back and, like, listen, if they didn't run into the Florida Panthers last year in the opening round, and the Panthers got someone else, like, who knows? Like, does Tampa end up winning the Stanley Cup last season? I don't bet against the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't. Like, I love what Rupper was saying on the last podcast too, when he's talking about John Cooper and how he's the best coach of this generation, yet he's never won the Jack Adams. Never won the Jack Adams. So Pat, I don't bet against Tampa, so I'll look at that and I'll bobblehead and go, yeah, I can see it.
Greg's.
Well, with the injuries in Florida, Barkov's not coming back. Chuck's out a while. It's hard for me there. I love the value of the Bruins right now. I'll say that, man. You could, like, if I was putting $10 down, I'd do it on the Bruins, just because it's how can you not? At plus 2,500, like, it's the best. They're in first place today, so for $10 I'd do it. But the one team I wouldn't sleep on are the Ottawa Senators to win that division. What they've done without Brady Tkachuk, they're pretty solid. So, but Tampa Bay winning wouldn't surprise me. And all, just like we outlined, all the injuries, and if their guys start coming back, and all the injuries plus Braden Point, a very non-Braden Point like start to the season, like not even close. Eventually, he's going to wake up. You just know that's going to happen. So, if I had to bet, like, to pick someone, I'd probably go with Tampa. But if I was betting just because of the odds, I'm taking Boston.
Yeah, I like the value across this whole division, honestly. Like, even like you said, the Lightning at plus 210, there's great value there. So a couple options for you if you're looking for something and in the division wise. But I think I saved my favorite question for last here, because we talked about Matthew Schaefer a little bit, and I personally think he's got a pretty good shot at the Calder this season, at least in the conversation, in my opinion. And now maybe the Norris is a stretch, especially for this season. The youngest to ever win the Norris was Bobby Orr at 19. And now I don't know if Schaefer is going to be there yet. I mean, maybe in the conversation next year, but after that, it's Adam Fox and Erik Karlsson at 22. So buy or sell, Schaefer could win the Norris before he turns 22, making him the second youngest. What do you think, Gregs?
So that means he'd have to win it in one of his first 4 seasons. Whew, I like that question, Patty. Man, the way this kid has played early on, I know it's only 20, not even. Is it even 20 games for Schaefer? I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think it was 19 on Sunday. So, God, he's like, everything about his game oozes maturity. Now, Cale Makar is in the league and he's pretty darn good. But I am going to buy. I think in the next 4 years, Schaefer will have a season that says he's going to win the Norris. Like, I love everything about the kid. I love his maturity. I love his, his interviews. I like how he's just a very raw person, very mature. Obviously, he's been through so much as a youngster. As somebody who lost his dad when I was young, but not that young. I couldn't imagine being 18. So, I was 17 actually. So I look at and Schaefer. I'm going to say, yeah, he'll do it in the next 4 years.
Boy, man, Cale Makar is so good. I think like if the voting was right now, not only would I give Cale Makar the Norris, but I'd also give him the Hart Trophy. As much as we're all crazy and rightfully so about what Nathan MacKinnon is doing with the Colorado Avalanche, I don't think it was funny on Morning Cup of Hockey last week. One of the conversations was, does Cale Makar hurt Nathan MacKinnon's chances of winning the Hart Trophy? I would flip that. I would say, did Nathan MacKinnon hurt the chances of Cale Makar? And we haven't had a defenseman win the Hart Trophy going back to the year 2000 with Chris Pronger. It's been that long. I think what Makar is doing this year is, and he does every year, but maybe this year's it's more pronounced with this great start. To me, it's otherworldly. I think he's right in there, and don't forget, like Quinn Hughes came back on Sunday too, and he snaps in 4 assists, and everything's grooving again with him back in the mix. And Miro Heiskanen's never won the Norris Trophy either. Is he going to end up being the Brad Park of this generation, just caught in an era with too many great defensemen in front of him? But put it this way, I can see Matthew Schaefer being a runner-up to Cale Makar real fast through all of it. I just don't know that I'm there yet. Although, man, that's a great time frame. To me, it's going to be close, question. But I'll still say it's a really good question. I'm gonna still say no. I just have like that much love for Cale Makar.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Originally, I was going to say next year, and I thought that doesn't with Makar and Hughes. It's not that it's too soon to kind of, and he's only been 20 games or whatever. But then I thought, before 22 gives him a little bit of a buffer, also gives the Islanders a chance to get better, and it gives a chance. Maybe Cale Makar has an off season, which isn't unrealistic. Not to say he's going to have multiple in a row, but it could happen. So I thought maybe by 22 is reasonable. Can
I throw one to you, Pat?
Sure.
Is Matthew Schaefer the second best defenseman in the NHL right now with under 20 games played?
It's
right
such
now
a tough
today. One. Right now today.
I think he's in the conversation with the amount of games we had. By the end of the season, we might not be saying the same thing, but let's see, looking at the points here so far for defensemen. Is there someone else that stands out? Like Morrissey's had a great season, Hughes, but
Josh Morrissey's had a really good year in Winnipeg. I've liked his play a lot.
He always does.
Schaefer does lead in goals, man. Yeah.
Is he the second best defenseman in the league right now?
I'd probably still take Quinn.
Hey, Hockey Canada. Mm-hmm. Hey, Hockey Canada. Hey, Hockey Canada.
I had him on my October. I had him as the number 8 defenseman. Get him on the roster. Get him involved. You could put him in a game, no problem in the Olympics. I'd have no issue if he was in my third pair for a game or two at the Olympics. No issue whatsoever.
I think so too.
With that skating.
Good buy or sell brought to you by Bet365. I'll see you guys next time.
Good job.
Yeah, take it easy, Pat.
That was a good one. Oof, I sweated.
That was I really liked one. I love the fact that he came in with the the second youngest guys were 22. That's good. Doing a little research on it. I like it. I always like if we can give our listeners stuff that we don't know. That's always good. So. I think people always appreciate that. It is interesting. Like Nathan McKinnon's having himself an unreal year again. So is Cale Makar. Very quietly, another guy who's really stepped up here in the last few weeks and has really been leading the charge, David Pastrňák for the Boston Bruins, up to 11 goals. 26 points. It's so I'm going to have for fun with you on today. You get one pick to win the Rocket Richard Trophy. Who's your pick today?
My pick today. Oh, Morgan Geeky, clearly. My pick today to win the Rocket is probably still going to be Leon Draisaitl. By the end of all of it, is still going to be Leon Draisaitl. I'll still take Leon. Listen. They still have the in case of emergency break glass situation in Edmonton, which just feeds points and feeds points and feeds points. I'll stick with Leon on this one. How about you?
It's hard to go against it. Nathan McKinnon's on pace to crush his season highs. He scored 50 goals once. He had 51 a few seasons ago. He's already got 14 in 18 games. I'd love to see multiple 50-goal scorers. McKinnon, Draisaitl, Cole Caulfield, maybe David Pastrňák, who has the most goals actually the last 4 years. And that's why, Pastrňák, there's a lot of people, Krejci and Bergeron. Yeah, those guys are gone, and David Pastrňák. And a lot of people would say Boston maybe doesn't have a number one center, and this guy is still filling the net. So David Pastrňák, just want to give a shout out for him. And he would, I still wouldn't count him out. But obviously the Draisaitl one's hard to go against because he's been so consistent the last few years. But so is David Pastrňák in Boston without, a running mate of passing ability like a McDavid.
Love him. Love the style as well. Love the look. Love the tape job. Love everything about the Dave Pass. I just love the good enough. And I'm just gonna go out there and snap home 55 goals. A really easy player to like. A really easy player to like. He's he goes down with this Boston. It's interesting too. I don't know that anyone would have looked at David Pastrňák even when he was drafted, and he would have been that Ekblad draft too, the Philadelphia draft, where it was between him. There was always who's going to go first between the two, because these two have always risen side by side, and who was going to be the higher pick? Was it going to be Jacob Vrana or was it going to be David Pastrňák? Now Pastrňák was injured a lot that year for a lot of key tournaments, and kind of fell into the Boston Bruins' laps, right? And everybody was crazy for Jacob Vrana. Oh, Vrana's going to be a stud. Everyone thought that Vrana was going to turn into the player that David Pastrňák ended up being. And that was just one of those things, we talk about luck, Jason. The Bruins got lucky. The Bruins got lucky that Dave Pastrňák was there. Now, they loved him from day one. And Pastrňák was still there. It's one of those situations where, as a manager, it's your time. When your guy is on the board, you sprint to the stage. You don't walk, you sprint to the stage just so you can say that player's name. That's how Boston felt about Pastrňák, and rightfully so. But I don't think anyone thought that he was going to be the leader that he is. That's the thing that impresses me, is how Pastrňák as Marchand shuffles off to Florida, how much of a leader Pastrňák has turned into on that team. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's been very good. Very good. Jeff, great stuff, buddy.
Thanks, bud.
We'll talk to you next Sunday, and probably by then the Pilsners will have slowed down a bit in Saskatchewan as the Riders win their 5th title.
No chance that slows down. No way, no how. Thanks, bud.
It'll be fun. Awesome. That's the rundown brought to you by Bet365.
Hey, hockey fans, if you enjoyed that video, then make sure you hit the subscribe button right here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube. We have you covered for everything you need. Exclusive interviews on The Sheet with Jeff Marek, all the latest hockey news on Daily Faceoff Live, and you can always get your morning started with Johnny Lazarus and Colby Cohn on Morning Cup of Hockey. Don't miss a minute. Hit that subscribe button.